Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you Edwin Cameron with a request that you confer on him the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. The decision by Council and Senate to award him this degree has been taken on the grounds of the following considerations. Ladies and gentlemen, as academic, jurist, and personal advocate, Judge Edwin Cameron has helped develop South African law so as to truly reflect the fundamental values of the Constitution. His role in securing the inclusion of sexual orientation as a prohibited ground of discrimination in the Bill of Rights, as well as his advocacy for persons with HIV/AIDS, makes him a key player in South African and international law. With qualifications from the universities of Stellenbosch, Oxford, and South Africa, this former Rhodes Scholar was well versed in law upon joining the University of the Witwatersrand's Center for Applied Legal Studies in 1986. During this time, he was admitted to the bar and specialized in human rights matters. He started making his mark, advocating in the field of HIV/AIDS and against discrimination on the grounds of sexuality. He drafted the Charter of Rights on HIV/AIDS and served as founding chair of the National AIDS Consortium, as well as founding director of the renowned AIDS Law Project. He also coordinated the gay and lesbian movement's submissions to the constitutional negotiators in Kempton Park. In 1992, his inaugural lecture as newly promoted professor of law, Sexual Orientation and the Constitution, became the standard for the constitutional protection of gay and lesbian rights worldwide. Dames en here, 2 jaar na sy aanstelling as professor, word Edwin Cameron senior advokaat en stel wyle president Nelson Mandela hom kort daarna as regter van die Hooggeregshof aan. Hy maak vinnig opgang en word in 2009 regter van die Konstitusionele Hof. Ook as dienende regter bewys hy hom as verstandige bewaker van die reg oor seksuele oriëntasie, vryheid van uitdrukking, sosio-ekonomiese regte en die stryd teen korrupsie, sowel as op meer tradisionele gebiede soos die kontraktereg. As eerste Suid-Afrikaner in 'n hoë profiel openbare amp wat openlik oor sy HIV-status en ervaring van antiretrovirale middels praat, is Cameron se bydrae tot beter antiretrovirale middeltoegang vir alle HIV-positiewe Suid-Afrikaners geloofwaardig en gedig. Met felle kritiek op oud-president Mbeki se HIV-vigs ontkenningsbeleid was hy 'n kernkampvegter vir 'n rasionele, openbare HIV-vigs behandelingsplan. Judge Cameron's international impact as top jurist, acclaimed author, and popular speaker is evident from the numerous awards he has received. These range from recognition by the Bar of England and Wales for his contribution to international jurisprudence and protection of human rights, to honorary doctorates from among others, King's College London and the University of Oxford. Mr. Chancellor, I hereby request that you confer the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, on Judge Edwin Cameron for his unstinting professional and personal advocacy for the recognition of every person's dignity, freedom, and equality, being the foundational values he has helped entrench in the South African legal system and beyond.
Hallo Edwin. Lang weer gesien. Is het nou nou? On the COVID.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chancellor, distinguished guests. 2010 has unquestionably been one of the most challenging years for the higher education sector in post-apartheid South Africa. It has raised a complex set of questions and challenges regarding the nature and destination of our transformative journey. These challenges are particularly acute in the context of this university, given its history and its ongoing struggles to redress the legacy of the past. Today we have conferred an honorary doctorate on a man from whom I believe we have much to learn in embarking upon the journey to a new and more inclusive Stellenbosch. First, there is much to learn from him about the value of hard work and a striving for excellence. From his brilliance as a scholar, a public interest lawyer who wielded legal tools skillfully to chip away at the edifice of apartheid injustice. Prolific scholar and author, an eminent justice of the Constitutional Court. He was a cum laude BA and BA honours graduate of this university and obtained an LLB cum laude from UNISA. No one's perfect, Edwin. The receipt of a Rhodes Scholarship to Oxford University, he attained a BA in jurisprudence, a Bachelor of Civil Law with first-class honours. Returning to South Africa as a lawyer and scholar at the Centre for Applied Legal Studies, he represented workers, victims of forced removals, and many of those subject to apartheid injustices. As a serving judge, he has authored or co-authored nearly 150 reported judgments, including landmark judgments on the right of gay people, freedom of expression, socio-economic rights, and the obligation of the South African government to establish an independent crime-fighting, corruption-fighting agency. In addition, he has contributed to aligning more traditional areas of law, such as contract law and trust law, criminal law, more closely with constitutional values. Then, Mr. Chancellor, there are the lessons about courage, integrity, and devoting his considerable talents to improving the lives of marginalized groups and communities that his life has to teach us. He has been at the vanguard of South African and global struggles to overcome prejudice and stigma against people on the grounds of their sexual orientation, as well against people living with HIV/AIDS. He was the first, and is still, to the best of my knowledge, the only high-profile person holding public office in Africa who has spoken openly about his HIV status and his experiences taking antiretroviral drugs. He strongly criticized former President Thabo Mbeki's AIDS denialist policies and supported popular struggles led by organizations such as the Treatment Action Campaign for a comprehensive HIV/AIDS treatment plan in the public health sector in South Africa. And I pause for a moment to observe how very moving it was for me personally when my Harry Oppenheimer Chair of Human Rights Law organized the annual Human Rights Lecture in the law faculty. And Edwin was one of our first speakers on this series, and he gave a very distinguished lecture on human rights and HIV/AIDS. And what was particularly touching was to see how many ordinary people from Cape Town townships attended the event and were delighted to meet an icon in their struggles for human dignity and the right to health. His book, Witness to AIDS, published in 2005 by Tafelberg, won the Sunday Times Alan Paton Prize, South Africa's premier award for non-fiction. Justice Cameron's contribution to human rights has been recognized by a range of prestigious awards. To name but a smattering: the Nelson Mandela Award for Health and Human Rights, Transnet's HIV/AIDS Champions Award, a special award by the Bar of England and Wales for his contribution to international jurisprudence and the protection of human rights, the Prize for Civil Courage of the German gay and lesbian movement, the Brudner Prize from Yale University for his contribution to the rights of LGBT community. He holds honorary doctorates from King's College London, the University of Oxford, St Andrews University Scotland, and the University of the Witwatersrand. But lastly, and perhaps most importantly, we can learn from the way that the Constitution and the fundamental values of human dignity, equality, and freedom that it enshrines have served as lodestars for Justice Cameron in his quest for a transformed South Africa. And in this regard, I can do no better than to quote the concluding paragraph of his wonderful book, Justice, A Personal Account. The Constitution affords us a pathway to healing and integration. It offers our country what the law in my lifetime has offered to me: a framework within which to repair our country, to restore, redress, and reconcile. It is up to us to claim the opportunities it offers. For the Constitution exists not only for high dreams and good times, it is also there for moments of dismay and sobriety. It is the one that has a claim to our fierce commitment. And so, ladies and gentlemen, in negotiating the rocky, winding road of change to a more inclusive Stellenbosch University, let us take inspiration from the life and works of the person upon whom we have today bestowed an honorary doctorate.
Mr. Chancellor, Mr. Rector, honored professors and staff and friends, ladies and gentlemen, fellow graduates today, I just want to say three things. The first is that if you thought from this morning's evidence at the ceremony that you have a plain-speaking, outspoken Chancellor, you should be sitting at this table. We have had a zinger of a conversation for the last hour, and it's not going to stop. And when he said to Sandy, "No, you're not allowed to answer me by pulling your face at me," I knew that we were going to have a great lunch. Mr. Chancellor, in serious mode, I want to commend you for being plain-speaking. I was Chairman of Council at Wits for 10.5 years, and for most of that period, we had Judge Richard Goldstone, who was Chancellor, who was not plain-speaking and outspoken in the way that you were. And there are virtues in doing that. I think we live in a country in which it's incumbent upon us, and particularly within the business community, particularly within the community of those who have power and wealth, to speak out plainly and courageously on moral grounds about where our country is going. And I want to congratulate the Chancellor for doing that. Do you join me, ladies and gentlemen? I made the mistake, by the way, after we came out. I said, "Meneer die Kanselier, whatever one may think of the nuances of what you've said, you've spoken." I said, "What nuances?" So he was holding me to account. The second thing I want to say is that it is a joy to be receiving the doctorate this morning in the company of the other honorary graduates, also the others who received this week. And Kate, you will forgive me for saying it. I always do this. My dearly beloved colleague, Kate O'Regan, a particular joy to be receiving it with her today, and with Dr. Small. Dr. Small, you were, yes, Dr. Small, u en Dr. Gerwel en die twee sonbroers was die eerste, vergewe my as ek het so stel, in aanhalingstekens, anderskleurige sprekers, wat ons op Stellenbosch gehad het. U het kom praat in die Wilcox gebou, Jakes Gerwel het dieselfde kom doen, en ons het die twee sonbroers, Franklin en Julian, genooi na Wilgenhof, om te kom praat by die besprekingsgroep daar in 1973. Thank you for your witness as well and for your outspokenness. En die laaste ding wat ek wil sê is, I thought this morning's ceremony was wonderful. The burger asked me for a comment and I said, ek dog die ceremonie het beklemtoon wat alles wat goed is in Stellenbosch, insluitende sy oopheid en sy luisterendheid. That it emphasized everything about Stellenbosch, the diversity, the openness, and its capacity for listening. Thank you so much.